This is Average is Failure with Coach Vaughn, your host. All right. Now, we had part 1 of the story. We're doing part 2 of this story today. Now, listen up. So I told you guys about the fact that I had gotten arrested. I got arrested and everything like that, but I still had to have my court date several months later, all right? And I want you to know what happened during the court date. So watch this. I had police officers, I had lawyers even, who had suggested to me that I should lie in order to get out of having to, whatever consequences might come based off the fact that I had gotten arrested, all right? And originally, you know, whether it was out of fear or whatever it was, at first I didn't give the officer that I was speaking with, I didn't give him the full story. But I said to myself, if I'm going to go whatever, if I'm going to suffer punishment, let's just say that, right? If I'm going to have to be reprimanded in any way, at the very least, if nothing else, I want to do it, and I want it to be because I was completely honest and that I lived up to character, and that I at least can live with myself saying that, look, I did the right thing. When the heat of the moment came and I was tempted to not live up to my principles, I want to be able to say that, listen, I overcame the temptation and I lived up to principles. So now watch this, listen. So I had already purposed in my heart from the time that I had left the holding cell that I originally was in. I had already purposed in my heart that when I got in front of the judge, that I was going to tell him the complete truth as to what happened, what the situation was, and basically let him know, listen, the whole thing, I made the decision to continue the usage of that particular ticket, right? So now watch this. Like I said, police officers, even lawyers, other people that, you know, you would look up to who are supposed to be good standing, upstanding people, were telling me basically to lie. And they meant well, right? They meant well because they understand how the system works. They understand what I need to do in order to, in essence, beat the charges that were against me. But I said, no, listen, I've lived my whole life not fully living up to my principle, and it has gotten me nowhere. I will not continue to not live up to principles. It's time for me to start living up to principles. So I get to the court, and I'm speaking with the legal aid that they assigned to me to represent me in court, all right? And I basically let her know the whole situation. I let her know where I didn't tell the whole truth, and I let her know that I wanted to correct that, or what have you. Now watch this. Once there's something about when you make the decision to live by principle, right? Call it what you want, right? For me, I believe in God, so I believe it's God that just delivered me from this whole thing. And watch this. Once I made the decision to live by principles, right? And watch this. This is something for you, whether you're religious or not. Whether you can be an atheist, all right? But watch this. Because I made the decision, I had a set of principles, and I said I will begin to live by principle. Watch this. Things worked out in such a way to where this whole time I'm thinking I'm going to say this to the judge, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to expose myself, blah, 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 blah. I never even had to say a word to the judge. Never even had to say a word to the judge. The way things got set up, there were some things I had done acts of service. I had offered up some services, some speaking services for free, right? Over the course of the past few months between the time that I had gotten arrested and the time that I had my court date. And I had even spoken about the fact that I had done some wrong and spoken to youth and spoken to young adults about what had happened and that I might have to suffer the consequences. And because I had already begun to do certain things like that, the legal aid said, listen, I believe that we can get you cleared of these charges, and you will just have to do, matter of fact, you will just have to show that you've been doing some community service, right? Something to show that you've been serving the community and doing something better. So watch this. Principle number one, because I made the decision to live by principle, right? I believe that things, although I didn't know how they were going to work out, things ended up working out eventually in a way that I never could have expected. In a way, I'm thinking that I'm at least going to pay some sort of fine. And look at that. I never had to, all I had to do was show proof of what I had been doing already, not even knowing that it was going to work out for my good. Now watch this, the second thing. Watch this, the second thing. The reason why, one of the things that helped me was this. I had been doing acts of service in the meantime, right? I had been offering up my services. I said, my mindset was, how can I be a servant to others? Listen, there's something about being a servant. There's something about when you have a mindset and a character of service, and how may I serve you? How can I help the people around me using my situations to help other people? There's something about that although it may not seem like you're getting paid what you're worth immediately, eventually that thing turns out and comes out and ends up paying off, right? So you have to remember, I said this in a video before, your value, what makes you valuable, Jim Rohn talks about this sometimes, what makes you valuable to the marketplace is your ability to offer up some sort of service to people who are in need of something. There's something that you have, there's some skill that you have that you need to be out there just giving away for free. You know, you may not get paid right away, but eventually that thing one day is going to turn around and it's going to bless you in a way that you could never have expected. And I'm telling you, because that's firsthand what happened to me. So listen, the two things, man, if you learn nothing else from listening to me on these videos, from when you hire me and ask me to come to your schools and speak to your universities and speak to your churches and speak to your companies and speak, if you learn nothing else, the two things that you have to understand is one, determine what your principles are and live up to your principles, because your character, the depth of your character is based on your ability to align your actions with the right principles, right? Thing number one. And thing number two, make sure that you have a servant's heart, an act of service. I know everybody out there is like, yo, everybody's always asking, well, what can you do for me? What can you do for me? But begin to ask, what is it that I can do for other people? All right. So I want to leave you guys with that. Once again, if this thing has been helpful to you, please hit the like button. Please, I know that there's somebody that you know that needs to hear this message, right? Somebody that might be hurting in some sort of way. Share this, please, with them, all right? Whether it be a family member, a friend, hey, it might even be an enemy that you want to begin doing acts of service for. Share this with them, okay? And subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up with what we're doing, some of the events that we're doing, or what have you. Please subscribe to the channel. As always, I love you. The only reason why I'm willing to be vulnerable with you guys is because I just want to see as many people as possible avoid the mistakes that I've been through. Okay, especially the silly mistakes. And I want to see all of you guys elevate and really reach the maximum potential that you have. So, average is failure, character and service is champion. See you guys next week on the next episode. Coach Vaughn, your host, out. Peace. Kermit the Frog. Yeah, I remember that's how the Muppet Babies used to dance back in the day.